close my eyes like you're not there. Everything I do for you seems pointless, is pointless.
Just give me a second. There we go, much better. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys 4 true scary stories that happened to me. They are terrifying, so just be prepared. I warned you, okay? Story number 1. This story actually took place on Halloween. So the day had passed and it was now night. I was sitting in my room sorting through the candy that I had gotten throughout the day when I received a Facebook message. Totally normal, so I opened the message and it was a supporter who had come to a show a couple days ago. I opened the message and she had said, "Look outside your house." It was kind of creeped out, but I thought she was just joking with me. I was thinking, yeah, right, it's Halloween, you're just trying to spook me. So I didn't even bother replying and went back to eating my candy. And then I got another Facebook message from her. This time it was a photo. I walked back over to my computer and opened the message, and there was a picture of her standing outside my house next to my car. At this point, I'm kind of freaked out and I decide to go outside to see if she's actually there. I opened the front gate and went down to my car and there was nobody there. I poked my head around the alleyways to see if she had ran off, but sure enough, no one was around. I was just standing in the middle of my street on Halloween night, crapping myself. Story number 2. This story doesn't take place on Halloween night, but it's still creepy. I think this was about 3 years ago. I was living back at my old house with my family, and I had my own room that was separate from the house, so it was really cool. I had my little hangout by myself. Very swaggy. But anyways, it was late, it was dark, and I thought I might go inside the main house for a drink of water or something. No big deal. So I walked out of my room into the main house where I stopped at the back door. None of my family were home, but I saw a face. There was a face sitting in my dad's computer chair where he usually sat. All the lights in the main house were out, but I could see this face staring straight back at me. For quite a few seconds, I just looked directly at it, making sure I did not blink or turn away, hoping for some weird reason that it would move or it would turn away or something. I guess I was just waiting for it to do something human, but it didn't. It just kept looking at me, and I swear to God, it looked so real. So I kind of sped walked, maybe ran away from the house. I'm very brave, as you can see. It turns out that my mind was just playing tricks on me, and it was just a crumpled up blanket on my dad's chair. But I swear, that was the scariest blanket I've ever seen in my whole life. Even after I realized the creepy face was a blanket on a chair, I still couldn't look directly at it. I was so scared. So yeah, blankets can be terrifying, apparently. Story number 3. This story for me wasn't as much scary as it was dangerous and just stupid. But looking back on it now, I can see how the story would be kind of scary and it might frighten some of you guys. One night I was driving home from my friend's house. Notice how all these stories occur at night. Just an observation. Things were normal, I was just going about my own business trying to get home. In the distance there was a set of lights. The lights were red, so I started slowing down, not like crazy on the brakes, just kind of going at my own pace. And all of a sudden in the corner of my eye, I could see in the rearview mirror that there were lights coming towards me. So there was a car in the distance all of a sudden that was zooming towards me, which is really weird because he must have just turned his lights on for some weird reason. And what's more, he was flooring it. He was going really fast towards a red light. The road I was slowing down on went from 2 lanes to 1, so you had to merge into it. I wasn't too intimidated, so I kept going at my normal pace and I merged into the lane. But apparently this guy that was going way too fast took offense to the fact that I had merged in front of him even though he had no time to get in front of me. So I had come to a complete stop and he slammed on the brakes behind me, started beeping his horn like crazy, started yelling at me, wound down his window and started giving me lots of gestures that I don't want to repeat here. All the while I'm just sitting in my car just being like, what? In that situation, I thought it was best for me to just ignore him and pretend that he wasn't there. And then the light went green and I took my turn. I kept on driving home, but I noticed this guy was right behind me and he would not stop following me. I tried just ignoring it and kept making my way home, but every turn that I took, he would follow me. It was then that I knew that something was definitely up. Instead of driving home, I took other turns so as not to lead him to my house, because that would be bad. And sure enough, his headlights kept following me. I was kind of at a loss for ideas, so I just kept going in circles, and I think this made him really fed up with me. He slammed on the accelerator and came up right beside me. He wound down his windows and started throwing stuff at my car. He was swearing at me, telling me to pull off the road. And here I am just pretending the situation's not happening, just driving. This isn't happening, this isn't happening. This frustrated him even more, and he started turning his car into mine. He was literally trying to ram me off the road. So I swerved my car out of the way and he tried to get in front of my car. He desperately wanted me to stop and for me to get out of my car, and most likely beat the crap out of me. It's at this point when when both of our cars are slamming on our brakes, trying not to hit into each other. So I've just had enough. I slam on the brakes and I make an illegal U-turn to get out of there. Luckily, after that, the guy had given up and he just sped away in a blind rage. So yeah. Luckily, I didn't die that night. That scary story just goes to show that there are a lot of terrible people out in the world. I don't know if that guy was drunk or on drugs or both, but that's definitely not something a normal person would do. And finally, scary story 4. This scary story actually takes place on the set of my music video for Fright Tonight. The first link in the description if you want to go check out the scene that I'm describing to you. Seriously, click that first link in the description if you want to see just what I mean. Very spooky. Story time. So it was the night before the filming of my music video Fright Tonight, and I thought I would go out to the location myself to see how good the lighting was at night. So yeah, it was about a 20 or 30 minute drive away from my house. It was about 3 in the morning and I went there by myself. The gates for the location were open, but there were no people around. The location we were filming at was actually up above the hills and like down in this kind of foresty area. It was very dark and out of the way, and I kind of didn't want to like draw any attention to myself. I wasn't doing anything wrong. It was just like 3 in the morning and I was out there by myself. It kind of looked sus. So yeah, that was in the back of my mind, like, should I really be here right now? Anyways, I drove up to the closest parking lot to the forest, which was still a little bit of a walk away. It was on top of a really tall hill and it was pitch black. I got out of my car and no joke, there was a huge thunder crash. Not gonna lie, it gave me a mini heart attack, but I pressed on. I hopped out of my car and the wind was blowing so freaking hard. The wind was so freaking loud in my ears and I tried closing my car door, but it was pushing it back open. That's how hard the wind was blowing. Finally managed to get the car door closed and I walked into the forest alone in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. Wind was freaking howling. I left my car's headlights on so I could see where I was walking. I got a far ways into the forest before I realized that I couldn't see anything except for my car's headlights. It was so dark and I swear I felt like I was in the game Slender. At that moment, I looked at the whole situation and was wondering why I even was there in the first place. I realized that there was nobody around me and I was just standing in this dark forest all by myself in the middle of the night with the wind howling through the trees and I could barely even see anything. I have no idea why I thought that was a good idea, but I hadn't been that scared for a very long time. I literally ran back to my car, I didn't even check the lighting for the next day, and I drove straight home and went straight to bed and prayed that the Slender Man wouldn't get me. So yeah, those were my 4 true scary stories that actually happened to me, and I am glad that I'm alive to this day. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I want you to leave a like and a comment down below telling me what a scary true story that happened to you might be. I really want to read them all because I love scary stories.